When I spoke to people on the street, quite frankly, they were baffled. I also spoke to Dr. Sheikh Ramzi, who's an Islamic scholar and a Muslim chaplain, and he told me that anything that could be seen as spreading religion is wrong.
GB News can exclusively reveal that a taxpayer-funded Muslim network has been encouraging NHS staff to convert to Islam.
Yeah, this is a curious story. A guide circulated by the NHS Muslim Network describes conversion as, quotes, the best decision you ever make, and lays out the steps to become a Muslim.
Yes, now the material found on several NHS Trust websites is presented as a training resource.
Well, staff were also urged to take part in the NHS Ramadan Challenge, fasting from dawn till dusk to show allyship.
Right. Well, I'm very pleased to be joined now by our GB News Originals editor, Nick Dunning, who brought us this exclusive story. Nick, thank you very much indeed. So what do we know about this then?
So the NHS Muslim Network has produced a guide on the process of conversion to Islam. They've talked about the rules that a convert must abide by, the changes that will go on within their family, potentially dealing with family members and friends who disapprove. But they do, as you said, say that it will be the best decision you, quote, ever make. This guide has been circulated generally across the NHS to staff who aren't Muslim, and as you said, it also sits on a diversity training website. They talk about all these different changes to a convert's life. In the workplace, this could entail the end of the Great British Handshake in order to comply with modesty rules, and within the family, tensions around Christmas and Easter, not being able to take part in these festivities anymore. Now, there was also the NHS Ramadan Challenge, where NHS staff were called upon, including by senior NHS management, to show their allyship with their Muslim colleagues by fasting from dawn till dusk. The issue here is that I don't think many Brits have much of an issue, have much knowledge about this. When I spoke to people on the street, quite frankly, they were baffled. I also spoke to Dr. Sheikh Ramzi, who's an Islamic scholar and a Muslim chaplain, and he told me that anything that could be seen as spreading religion is wrong. If we could take a look.
Yeah, let's take a look.
What is the matter with the British people? What are they pandering to?
What has religion or spirituality got to do with medical care? Like, I know that there's certain practices, like Jehovah's won't take blood and things like that, but what's it got to do with? It's everyone's individual thing. That sounds very bizarre, to be honest.
I don't think religion and politics should come into healthcare. To me, it's a neutral ground.
No, not at all. That's wrong. That's not the spirit of Islam.
Have you been getting a load of spam in your email recently? What about random calls? It's really annoying, isn't it? Data brokers are out there collecting your personal information. Anything from your email, your full name, your address, and even your political affiliation. Cyber criminals can even use AI to mimic the voices of friends and family to trick people into sending them money. And it gets even worse. People out there are getting huge loans taken out in their names without even knowing about it. But don't worry, because the sponsor of this video, Incogni, can help. They reach out to the data brokers on your behalf and request that your information is removed from their databases. Incogni continues to make sure that your data is removed automatically from the internet via repeated removal requests. So, how can you get started? Well, step 1, hit the link in the description. Create an Incogni account and tell us whose data you'd like removed. Step 2, grant Incogni the right to work on your behalf. Step 3, sit back, relax, and watch Incogni work. They will update consistently so you know when your data has been removed. Incogni is risk-free for 30 days, so you can try it for yourself and you'll get a free refund if the service isn't for you. So take back your personal data today with Incogni. Use the code GBNews using the link in the description below and you'll get 60% off an annual payment plan.
That's not the spirit of Islam. That's not.
Yeah, so Sheikh Ramzi there, he's worked for the NHS for a long time as a chaplain, and he said that there's great things about chaplaincy. They can help patients heal, but there is a line when it comes to religion in our public services.
I find it odd that, you know, some of the top guys are sort of pushing this who aren't Muslim. I mean, they have to show their allyship. So if you don't take part in this fasting challenge, then you're not an ally, you're not a friend of your Muslim colleagues. It's very odd.
As if you will be just as good a doctor, a nurse, or heaven forfend, a surgeon, if you haven't had food or water from dawn until dusk, I put it out there that might affect performance if everyone across the organisation suddenly decides not to eat for the entire daytime.
Well, Nick, what have the management had to say at the NHS about all this?
So the management, they, as I say, they support this. One of the managers, he actually flagship to the staff that he himself would be taking part, and he himself is an ally. But the issue here is that we haven't seen much from any other networks. I've had sources that are affiliated with the Christian network who tell me they don't do anything of the sort. They don't invite people to take part in Lent. The Jewish network, from what I've seen, don't invite anyone to do anything to do with Yom Kippur or any other festivities.
That is the curious thing, right? Because we tend to think of religion as something that people hold personally and dear to them, and everyone has the right to practice whatever religion they want to do. The issue comes when people want to push their religion on someone else, when they're telling people how to behave, when they're saying that men and women can't shake hands because that breaches modesty rules, when it seems that so large parts of one particular religion in this country haven't gone through that same sort of liberalising process that, frankly, Christianity and Judaism have both gone through over the course of the last few hundred years. I mean, this is a serious and present issue that we perhaps don't talk about enough.
Yeah, what's it got to do with the NHS, Nick?
Well, the NHS does have obligations under the Equality Act. Religion is a protected characteristic, so the NHS's way of dealing with that is to create these networks to allow people around their characteristics to band together to advocate. But the issue is they're all entitled to the same resources, which is, taxpayer time and money. But because they're self-run, they diversify in how they operate. And that's what we're finding here.
Well, it's very interesting. Nick Dunning, thank you very much for that exclusive from our NHS.
Yes, we should say, of course, that the NHS spokesman has said senior NHS managers regularly engage with staff across the entire NHS workforce to hear and understand their experiences of working in the NHS and in order to provide better care for patients.
We're a diverse country, and that is reflected in the NHS workforce. It's vital that we make sure all our staff feel included so we can recruit and retain an NHS workforce that is as productive as possible.
It's obviously entirely reasonable for NHS staff to take part in Ramadan if they would like to, including as a way of recognising the tens of thousands of Muslims working in the health service.
Right. OK.
At GB News, we believe in the power of free speech. We're not afraid to ask the tough questions, challenge the status quo, and give you a voice. While others silence dissent, we champion the truth. By becoming a GB News member, you're not just supporting free speech, you're defending it. Please consider supporting us today. Together, we'll hold the powerful to account and make sure that your voice is always heard. Simply go to gbnews.com/support and stand with us for what matters most.